It was a magnificent run for the Michigan basketball team in 2013. They set or tied a number of program records, including a program best 31 wins en route to their 7th Final Four. But this year's Wolverines will be the first to tell you that last year is over, and this season presents a whole new set of challenges. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Inside Michigan Basketball, delivered by UPS. Last year saw the Wolverines become the last unbeaten team in the nation, the first to reach 20 wins, and they had a perfect non-conference record until the last game of the season. Because of that success, Michigan has an even bigger bullseye on their back, and nobody understands that better than head coach John Beilein. So let's talk about that bullseye that Michigan has on its back. It's always been there because of the Michigan brand, but especially now with the success you've had in this program. How do you and your team go about accepting that challenge?
Well, I think that when you're in this league, when you're in the Big Ten, when you've been nationally ranked for a couple of years, those are the expectations. But really, I don't think it changes anything. I mean, the last couple of years, we've had very good players. We've had a very good, a lot of success. It really doesn't change much else. Those guys know we're going to get everybody's best shot. We talk about it all the time. At the same time, we have to perform. We can't be worried about those things.
You go from guys who were certain role players as captains a year ago to the similar role players type captaincies this year. How did you and your staff go about naming captains, or the players as well, naming the captains, and what do they bring to your club?
We sort of figured it out by committee. The coaches, we had a lot of discussion because it's important. But we said, you know what? Before we do this announcement, let's take a straw vote of the players. Let's see how they feel to find out if we're wrong or not, if we're right on. And certainly we were right on. We had 3 guys that we felt had enough experience, had enough want to be a leader, and the team selected them. It wasn't even close. Those 3 were far and away the ones that the team selected.
What is the most important thing after having such a successful season? What's the most important thing for you to remind your players about? I know in practice a number of times it's not always necessarily about the activity, but the achievement. Don't substitute or mistake what you're doing, action on the floor, for any type of achievement. That's something you and your coaches talk about.
I think the best thing they forget, and we all do, we all forget the good things. We all forget the things that got us to that position last year, where we had ups and downs during the season, but heck, we only lost 7 or 8 games. So those ups and downs made us better. We didn't point fingers at each other. We didn't get our head down. We just kept on playing. So that's the biggest thing. You're going to have up and downs. How you deal with that defeat is huge. In basketball, I mean, it's so huge because you play 30 games. And you don't have a week to get it out of you. We have to do it right away. We have to figure out, all right, how can we improve from this in both victory and defeat? How can we improve from this? And that's the only way we coach.
The 8 losses, the fewest you've ever had as a head coach. How did you deal with losing the last game of the season?
Oh, I think that it was very hard because of now you look back at it and you realize you could coach your tail off. You could have the best talent, but a sprained ankle, a bad referee's call, a bounce of the ball, you might not get back there again. So, I do think if we have this opportunity again, hopefully we'll be a better coaching staff, and our team will be even more prepared than they were this year.
There are 7 new faces for Michigan this year. When we come back, we visit with one of the most decorated of the bunch and continue our discussion with the head coach. Inside Michigan Basketball, delivered by UPS, is brought to you in part by the University of Michigan C.S. Mott Children's Hospital and by Absol Water, the official bottled water of the Michigan Wolverines. Trey Burke was one of the most decorated players in Michigan hoops history. He became the school's 2nd ever Player of the Year. With first-round NBA status secured, Burke jumped to the next level, leaving a glaring opening at the point guard position. Enter freshman Derek Walton, who welcomes that challenge.
Sometimes it gets tough, the expectations, but I hold myself to a high expectations. I just get caught in the middle of the game where I make a mistake and I'm really down on myself. Growing. I know things like that won't bother me as much.
Walton is doing just fine. Coaches say he's right on track. They love his toughness, and they love his leadership. He relishes the opportunity to quarterback and is learning every day.
I need to slow it down a little bit and just stay confident in myself.
He's also excited about the Wolverines' challenging schedule, considered one of the toughest in the conference. That has included road games at Iowa State and Duke already.
Those have been very eye-opening, just getting me used to the type of venues we're going to have to play in. And just me as a young point guard, being able to bottle my emotions and just stay within the team goals.
But even the most diehard basketball junkie needs a chance to unwind. So Walton makes sure he reserves some time for himself.
Just talking to my mom and dad a lot, chill with Zach and the rest of the team, and just kick it, just relax, take my mind off basketball.
Derek Walton, Michigan's Gatorade Player of the Year, and now the guy in charge of your offense and really communicating with your defense as well. What has impressed you most about the way he, in his first season, has assumed that type of role that was left by a huge void?
You know what I've really been impressed? He's not a head hanger right now. He's been pretty resilient. When he makes mistakes, he'll bounce back. Every day's a fresh start. We can get on him pretty good in practice about his role as a playmaker and his role as every point guard I ever know has to have some leadership, and he will bounce right back. So I love the idea that he's a willing student. He really wants to be a better basketball player, and he's improving daily.
You always kind of compare basketball to a lot of other sports, and let's use Derek Walton as a cornerback. Has a short memory, but he also has to be a very good communicator like a quarterback.
Yeah.
How long does it take players to get used to one another in today's game?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, especially not in the first half of a game. The coach is not there, that you can't look over your shoulder and figure out what to do. He has to be in command, and that's a big point of emphasis right now. We felt in the Duke game we were not in command when the ball was away from us. We were running some plays, other plays. We didn't have that command. I told Spike and Derek that can never happen again. I don't care if you call the play that I don't want. Run a play, run something, an action that we want, and make sure everybody's on the same page. So that's a very difficult thing to do that he continues to improve in, but it takes some time.
Love the culture that you've built here, so much so that guys are staying here in the offseason. Nick Stauskas adds 16 pounds.
Yeah.
Karis LeVert might be the most improved player in the nation, adding 23, but it's good weight. How has that helped those two?
No, that's really been good for them. They spent a lot of time just eating right and working out with John Sanderson, who I believe is the best strength coach anywhere. And he's done a wonderful job getting these guys stronger, but that's not enough. They have to have a desire to become really good players. They have to want to be in the gym, and Karis is evolving into one of our higher IQ players. He can now almost play 3 different positions. That's big if he can do that.
Let's get to Coffee with the Coach. It's brought to you by Tim Hortons. This is from Eric in Richmond, Virginia, Coach. How does a tough non-conference schedule help the development of this team, especially in the Big Ten and postseason?
Well, I think that when we get into the Big Ten, and I don't think it was a huge effect last year. We tried to schedule enough games, and we were in the preseason NIT in New York playing good teams. But in the ACC Challenge, we were home, and we just went to Bradley. Being at Iowa State and at Duke is very similar to what we're going to see in the Big Ten. So as a result, I think when we walk out on that court at wherever we're at in our first couple of games, it won't be, wow. It will be, okay, I've been here before. What did I learn from that last time? How can I make this the best situation and hopefully get a road win? Your team's offense is so exciting, and so many players come here because they want to play in that type of system. But I think people forget about you and how much you stress defense. How has your defensive principles come to fruition so far? Well, I think it's with a young team. That's when you look at a young basketball team and you say, wow, I saw that kid play in high school. He was one of the best players in the country. And you don't see he's playing on his team, I guarantee it's probably not about offense. It's about defense. And that's the hardest thing for a freshman or a sophomore to follow scouting reports, guard their best player. And that's what's happening right now. Last year, Tim and Trey used to lock up people. Now we got young guys doing it. So it is, defense is usually the most difficult thing, and we work hard at it, but it is one thing that takes considerable time. You mentioned Trey Burke. He was that, dare I say, go-to guy when the shot clock is winding down, when the game is on the line. Has this team found that player yet, or is that more by committee? No, it's going to be by committee. We'll find out where the matchups was, the action that's working. No, it would. Last year, we would have been crazy not to use Trey in most of those situations. It was Trey or Tim in almost every one. I can see us using 4 guys in that same situation. A couple of Wolverines have really elevated their game. Who was able to do it well enough during this week's Ironman of the Week? Find out when we return.
Alro Steel Ironman Player of the Week, Mitch McGary over the last 5 games averaging better than a double-double.
As I'm getting back into shape, getting back into playing shape, Coach Beeline is giving me a little bit more trust on the court, and as long as I make what he calls singles, he's okay with me. He's okay with the flexibility of my game right now.
Now Michigan will use an entire week to get ready for one of the best teams in the country, maybe the best team that they will face all season long, when Arizona comes calling to Chrysler Center next Saturday. How much does it help to have a week to prepare, do you think?
It helps a lot, especially with a team like Arizona, top 5 team. But we have to come into practice every day trying to get better, each and every day, and be ready to play.
The women's team made history last year. When we come back, we'll talk of their need to adapt on the fly while looking for some production and leadership. 6 players graduated from Michigan last season, so head coach Kim Barnes-Arico is surrounded by youth. They needed to find a way to bond quickly. What better way than to take a 10-day summer trip to Europe? Our Sarah Van Meter tagged along.
Preparations for the 2013-14 season began at Detroit's Metro Airport. The Wolverines flew overnight to Paris, but wasted little time in seeing everything the City of Lights had to offer, from the Eiffel Tower to the Louvre.
It was kind of surreal. I could not believe that we were literally on the other side of the world.
I was exhausted. I was thinking about when can I get some sleep. But then again, we were in Paris too, so I was like, I want to go out and do as much as I can, but I want to get some sleep so I can enjoy what I'm doing.
Jet lag, no jet lag. I was so excited to be there. I couldn't care if I had 1 hour of sleep or 10.
I was honestly starstruck. It was crazy. It was like the things you see on TV, and we were actually there. The Eiffel Tower and things like that. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Nicole. Bienvenue. I took a couple of French classes here at Michigan and also in high school, and so I was excited to kind of try out my French, but then I think when I actually talked to people, I kind of froze and was afraid of saying stuff to them, so I was kind of practicing and wasn't afraid to speak French around my teammates, but when it came to speaking with native French speakers, I was like, well, I'm not having it.
I've only seen the Eiffel Tower in movies and magazines, so I was super excited, and the view was unbelievable when we finally got to the top.
We basically just had the opportunity to see it light up at night. It was sparkling. It was pretty cool. I mean, that's one of the main things that people think about when they think about Paris, and just having the opportunity to go there and go up and just be with such amazing people is pretty incredible.
Next stop for Michigan was the city of Nice on the French Riviera. Sophomore Madison Rostovsky had the experience of a lifetime on that rocky beach.
It was my very first time going, and I was like, oh my God, there's the beach. So I was pretty excited when we first got to go out there.
And I love the beach, so it was fun getting in there with my teammates and taking pictures and just getting in the water and experiencing something new.
The thing that I remember most about the beach is actually when we went and did the banana boat. It was basically a water tube or inner tube that we were pulled behind a boat, and it was a blast. There were 6 of us out there, and honestly, we couldn't stop laughing as soon as we were out there. It was a great time.
Me and 5 of my other teammates got to go out there, and kid you not, that's probably the highlight of my entire life.
More sights and experiences awaited the Wolverines over the next few days.
Being able to go to the Coliseum, I mean, there was so much history right there, and I never would have guessed how interested I was in it until I saw it all firsthand.
I really enjoyed some of the meals that we went to. It was pretty funny watching everybody experience new flavors and new kind of ways of cooking.
You gotta set the tone from the tip.
The Wolverines won in Paris, Lake Como, Italy, and Rome.
I was definitely excited to play my first game and be with my teammates and Coach Arico and the whole staff. It was definitely exciting. I was really pumped in the game, and we just played really good and really hard.
We didn't have the greatest competition, but in our games, everybody got the chance to go out and compete and play with different people at different times, and I think that really helped our team chemistry. I think that established our mentality going into the season that anybody can score and that everybody's got an equal part in this team.
Before the trip, we left as close friends and we came back as sisters, and it was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I was glad I got to spend it with my teammates.
I'm going to remember it for the rest of my life, but I'm going to remember the people that I went with and how important, you know, having relationships with, like, you know, your coaching staff and your teammates really are, because, like, when I get old, I just know that I'm still going to have those people in my life.
I'm so lucky and fortunate to be on a team that there's such great chemistry and everybody gets along so well, and it's just, I'm always going to remember being in those special places with those special people.
You know, Matt, I had the privilege to go on this trip with a team over the summer, and I have to say the growth both collectively and individually by this group has just been amazing. To see where they were in July and to see where they are now has just been something that's truly transformational. And by the way, they've won 6 of their first 9 games. The women will host Eastern Michigan on Wednesday at 7 p.m. before ending the week on Saturday by hosting Notre Dame at 7 o'clock at Chrysler Center. For Inside Michigan Basketball, I'm Sarah Van Meter.
Sarah, thanks. Jordan Morgan is the veteran of this young men's team. He joins me to talk about captaincy, role change, and expectations next. Inside Michigan Basketball, delivered by UPS. Let UPS put the power of logistics to work for you. Jordan Morgan plays every single game his senior season. He will leave Michigan as the all-time leader in games played. Welcome back. It's been a long stretch for you. I mean, at the beginning, it was some injuries that you had to fight through. You had to fight through some things mentally. Now you're here, your senior season. You played so many games, 113 at this spot. How's that feel to you? I mean, how do you think about that?
Man, it's I just look back on everything we've come through as a program, and it's it makes, you know, it's something to be proud of. The growth that we've had. I've seen a lot of teammates come and go, and you know, just at this point, just trying to leave Michigan, you know, leave a great legacy here.
Would you have ever thought you'd be a captain in your senior season? I mean, when you first got here, did you ever think that was possible?
I guess that's not something you really think about. You know, but you know, getting here, it's like it kind of validates you, everything you kind of worked for. I put in, you know, a lot of time, and just a lot of hard-fought games, a lot of practices, and you know, it's you know, it's not a goal necessarily when you get here. It may be not something you think about when you get here, especially because when I started playing, we didn't have any seniors, so it was just like our team. But now to have the opportunity to really be someone that the young guys can look to as a leader and as somebody they can talk to and learn from, that's really a blessing.
It also shows your growth and maturation as a person and a player, doesn't it?
I mean, definitely. I think now more than ever, I've really gotten outside myself and just ignored, you know, my personal success a lot more than I would have before. And I'm just focused on trying to help our team every way that I can, every way, on the court, off the court, just help these young guys grow because we have a really young team.
But your role has changed, and I think a younger Jordan Morgan might have fought this new role. Describe the role for me and why you've been able to accept it so willingly.
Man, I don't know. I guess I'm just like the guy that does whatever needs to be done. You know, I come in, just be consistent in everything I do, on defense especially, keeping everybody in their position, being solid, someone that the coach can always depend on no matter what it may be. And just going out, if it's finishing, you know, finishing strong. If it's you know, making free throws, I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna make my free throws. I'm gonna be solid defensively, take charges, and keep everybody in their spots.
You talked about the legacy. You played in a lot of NCAA tournament games. You've gotten this team, this program, back to where many people have always wanted it. How much satisfaction do you take in that?
You know, it's hard. I try not to think about it, to be honest. I really want to focus on this year and just leaving with, you know, a great year this year. And I don't want to get too caught up in what's been done. I want to think about this team and the best way to move them in a position to be really successful this year.
Well, you're a lot smarter than I ever was or ever will be, but the one thing we have in common, he loves his Lions, he loves his Tigers, he loves his Pistons, and we're loving that Jordan Morgan is around for another season. Thanks for joining us on this week's edition of Inside Michigan Basketball. We invite you back next week when we recap how the Wolverines do against one of the best teams in the nation, the Arizona Wildcats. Until then, have a great week, everybody, and go Blue.